Dexter was different, a lone duck in a world of mallards. He never quite fit in. The other ducks ignored him. They found him odd. Dexter felt this isolation keenly. His solace came from watching the geese. They were a majestic flock. Powerful and united, they soared through the sky.
I long to be a part of their world. I admire their strength and grace. I envy their camaraderie.
Dexter spent hours observing them. He studied their habits. He mimicked their calls, trying to capture their essence. He felt a kinship with the geese, a connection he couldn't explain. But they were different species. They wouldn't accept him, or would they? A dangerous idea began to take root in Dexter's mind. The desire for acceptance burned within Dexter. It was a constant ache, a yearning for belonging. He watched the geese glide across the pond. Their honking echoed through him.
I imagined myself among them, accepted as one of their own.
But reality was harsh. He was a duck, and they were geese. The divide seemed insurmountable. One day Dexter discovered a discarded goose feather. It was large and white, stark against his dull brown plumage. An idea sparked in his mind, a dangerous, deceptive idea. He could use the feather to disguise himself, to blend in with the geese. The thought both terrified and exhilarated him.
Could I pull it off?
Dexter's plan was audacious. He would create a disguise. He would fool the geese into accepting him. Dexter was nothing if not resourceful. He gathered more feathers, carefully selecting each one. He needed to look the part. He wove the feathers into his own, mimicking the geese's plumage. It was a meticulous process, fraught with risk.
Days turned into weeks. I dedicated myself to the deception.
He practiced the geese's calls, refining his accent. He observed their movements, memorizing their social cues, fear warred with determination.
What if they see through my disguise? The risk is immense, but the potential reward is greater. Acceptance, belonging, power.
The day arrived for Dexter to put his plan into action. The sun was just beginning to rise, casting a golden hue over the tranquil pond. He approached the edge of the pond, his heart pounding like a drum in his chest. Every step felt heavy with anticipation. His disguise felt strange, unfamiliar. The feathers he wore were not his own, and they rustled awkwardly with each movement. He took a deep breath, trying to steady his nerves, and stepped onto the bank. The cool morning air filled his lungs, giving him a momentary sense of calm. The geese eyed him with suspicion, their gazes sharp and unwelcoming. He could feel their eyes boring into him, questioning his presence. He was an outsider, intruding on their territory. The pond was their home, and he was a stranger in their midst.
And I must be cautious. Every move I make is being watched.
Dexter imitated their greeting call, his voice trembling slightly. He had practiced this call countless times, but now, under their scrutiny, it felt different. To his relief, they responded. The tension in the air eased just a little, but he knew he wasn't safe yet. He cautiously joined the flock, his body tense with apprehension. Each step was deliberate, each movement calculated.
I have to be careful to maintain the charade. One slip and they will know.
One wrong move and his plan would unravel. The stakes were high and failure was not an option.
Who is this newcomer? He doesn't look like one of us.
He seems different. There's something off about him.
We should keep an eye on him. He might be up to something.
Oh, he looks interesting. Maybe he's here for a reason.
Dexter had to blend in, to prove himself worthy of their trust. He needed to become one of them, to move as they moved, to act as they acted. The game had just begun. The pond was now a stage, and Dexter was ready to play his part. Time and Dexter's cunning began to blur the lines of deception. He integrated himself into the flock, carefully observing their routines. He learned their feeding grounds, their resting spots, their hierarchy. His disguise held, and suspicion gave way to curiosity, then acceptance. Dexter was meticulous, noting every detail, every nuance of their behavior. He watched how they interacted, how they communicated, and how they trusted one another. Slowly, he became a part of their world, a world that was once foreign to him. The geese, in their complacency, never suspected a thing. They saw Dexter as one of their own, a fellow traveler in their journey.
I must say, your feeding grounds are quite diverse. How do you manage to find such spots? It seems like you always know where the best places are.
Oh, it's all about experience, Dexter. We've been here for years. We know every nook and cranny of this place. It's like second nature to us now. You just have to be patient and observant.
Dexter played the role of the outsider well. He feigned ignorance, asking naive questions, all the while gathering valuable information. The geese, in their arrogance, underestimated him. They saw him as harmless, even pitiful. Dexter's questions, though seemingly innocent, were strategic. He was piecing together a puzzle, one that would eventually reveal the vulnerabilities of the flock. The geese, in their overconfidence, never realized the depth of Dexter's cunning. They believed they were mentoring a lost soul, not realizing they were being outwitted.
Dexter, you really should rest more. You seem so out of place sometimes. It's important to take care of yourself, you know. We wouldn't want you to feel left out or overwhelmed.
Yes, Dexter. You can always ask us if you need anything. We're here for you. Don't hesitate to reach out. We're all in this together after all.
They shared their secrets, unaware of the danger lurking beneath the surface. Dexter, the infiltrator, was becoming one of them. He listened intently, storing away every piece of information. The geese, in their naivety, opened up to him, revealing their strengths and weaknesses. Dexter's plan was unfolding perfectly. He was no longer just an observer. He was a trusted friend, a confidant. The geese had no idea that their new ally was, in fact, their greatest threat. Dexter's patience and cunning were paying off, and soon he would have everything he needed. Dexter listened intently as the geese boasted of their exploits, their voices filled with pride and a hint of arrogance. He learned of their vulnerabilities, their fears, their internal conflicts that tore at the fabric of their unity. They spoke of past battles with rival flocks, of their secret nesting grounds hidden away from prying eyes, and of their deep-seated distrust of other animals that roamed the land. Dexter absorbed it all, committing every detail to memory, knowing that each piece of information could be a weapon in his arsenal. His initial fear had given way to a chilling sense of purpose, a resolve that hardened with every word he heard.
Our last battle with the rival flock was tough, a true test of our strength and strategy. We barely managed to hold our ground, the fight pushing us to our limits.
Really, that sounds intense. How did you manage to come out on top? How did you manage to win? What was the turning point?
It was sheer luck and knowing our secret nesting grounds, places we thought were safe from discovery. We had to outsmart them, using every bit of knowledge and cunning we possessed.
He had infiltrated their ranks, gained their trust, and uncovered their weaknesses, all while maintaining his facade. The geese, oblivious to his true nature, treated him as one of their own, never suspecting the danger that lurked within their midst. They had no idea they were welcoming a predator into their midst, a wolf in sheep's clothing. Dexter, the master manipulator, had them exactly where he wanted them, poised to strike when the moment was right. Section 7. The Night of Betrayal. The night was dark, the moon hidden behind a veil of clouds. The geese huddled together for warmth, their guard down. This was the moment Dexter had been waiting for, the moment of ultimate betrayal. His heart pounded not with fear but with a cold, calculated anticipation. He rose silently from his place on the periphery of the flock. His movements were swift, deadly. He struck without warning, his beak a weapon in the night. Honking cries filled the air, a cacophony of terror and pain. The geese, caught completely off guard, had no chance. Dexter, the deceiver, had become the destroyer. Section 8. The Taste of Power. The carnage was swift and brutal. Dexter, fueled by a potent mix of fear and ambition, showed no mercy. He had tasted power, and it was intoxicating. The geese, once his objects of admiration, were now victims of his cunning. Their blood stained the ground, a testament to his betrayal. As dawn broke, casting a pale light over the scene, Dexter surveyed his handiwork. He felt no remorse, only a cold satisfaction. The flock was his now. He had achieved what he craved, acceptance. belonging, and power. But these prizes came at a terrible cost. Section 9. Loneliness of a Killer. Dexter, the duck who longed to be a goose, was now alone. He had eliminated his idols, destroyed the very creatures he envied. The pond, once alive with the sounds of the geese, was eerily silent. His victory felt hollow. The acceptance he craved was built on a foundation of lies and bloodshed. He tried to integrate with other flocks, to replicate his success. But the taste of power lingered, a bitter aftertaste. The other geese sensed something different about him, a darkness that set him apart. He was a pariah, feared and avoided. Section 10. The Price of Deceit. Dexter lived out his days haunted by the ghosts of his victims. He had achieved his goals through cunning and deceit, but at a terrible price. The acceptance he craved remained elusive. In its place was a profound loneliness, a constant reminder of his betrayal. Dexter's story serves as a cautionary tale. It illustrates the seductive nature of ambition and the devastating consequences of deceit. The desire for acceptance and belonging is universal, but the path to achieving it must be paved with honesty and integrity. Dexter's journey reminds us that true fulfillment cannot be attained through manipulation and violence. The price of deceit is often far greater than the rewards it brings.